A lot of my most favorite memories come from the 12-year-old league, and I don't even really remember playing the regular season. What strikes me with the 12-year-old league is the all-star team, and most of my memories come from that, you know, with Kevin Carestas, Frank Dedzi, Joe Falcone, and Tommy Shivers, Lamar Bowen. It was a really, really great experience. And at the time, they had what they called the box. And we went to Rome, New York. We actually flew, believe it or not, to Rome, New York. And also, before we took off on that flight, there was a guy who there was not nearly as much security, but this guy jumped onto the plane. We thought he was the pilot, and he was up front playing around and moving switches and doing all kinds of stuff, and the security came on and grabbed him and took him off eventually when the real pilots showed up. Nobody ever knew who the guy was. But anyway, we go to this tournament in Rome and Utica, New York. It was at different places, but at the time they had the box, and the box is something that you laid in, and they measured your height. And I forget, junior ABA was, if you were over 5'7", you couldn't play, and biddy was 5'8". Anyway, because I was tall, they called me to get put in the box, and I laid down. Before I got put in the box, though, Bill Tribbett had this great idea that if I run up and down the hall for an hour, that it would shrink my body. And obviously that did not work. I don't even know where that idea came from. I would have probably, had I been not too tall, I would have probably been too tired to play anyway, because I ran up and down the hall like a madman for an hour. I remember laying in the box and Tribbett saying to all the other coaches who were standing around looking at me, it's kind of like being in a coffin, except they moved this slider down to hit the top of your head. And Tribbett saying to all the other coaches, he makes it, right? And they're all like, yeah, I guess so, except for one guy. And he's like, no way, we can't let him. No, he's over the line. So I didn't get to play. And what's most memorable about not getting to play, number one, that it was the first time I ever saw my dad cry. He was so upset that, you know, I remember him saying, you've worked so hard, you've improved so much, and it breaks my heart not to see you be able to play. And he literally broke down in tears, and it still chokes me up. You know, he hugged me, and it took him a longer time to get it back together than it did me. But the second thing I remember is that the coach who was the only one who said I couldn't play, he was the first team we played, and stoners as we are, stuck together. I think we beat him by at least 40 points because Billy Tricino had like the game of his life, and like everybody rose to the occasion. They were so pissed that I wasn't allowed to play, and that was the only guy. And don't think Tribbett didn't make an issue of it, that he was the only coach that didn't let me play. So those were the memories. I also remember going to Union City, New Jersey. Great place for a basketball tournament. I mean, really. And when the last night we were there, Tribb's van got stolen, and we didn't have the team bus to go in. It was like totally typical Eddystone story, right? He drives the whole team there, and we end up having to split up on the way home because his van got stolen. the coffee bean machine, and it was the end of our season anyway, but that was the last tournament we were playing in.